Hi guys, welcome back. We have another interview, and this time it is with Caleb Hearn. He is a singer-songwriter who is now based in Nashville. He's from a pretty small town, and he just moved to Nashville pretty recently. And he has his new EP called "We're Getting Older," and it's an amazing EP. We personally love it at the Honey Pot, and we are so excited that we get to talk to him today about the music behind the EP, what it's about, the different ties he has in between each song. And then also we got to talk about his upcoming tour with Rosie Darling. And we're just super excited that we get to speak with him today. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Welcome to the Honey Pot. We are super excited to get to talk to you today. And our first question is if you could kind of give like a little brief intro about yourself.
Absolutely. Number one, thank you for having me. This is great. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I'm 22 years old, currently living in Nashville, Tennessee. I grew up in a really small town in North Carolina, about 1,000 people, really small. And yeah, I just started making music at a pretty young age, 12, 13 years old. And then it wasn't until like I was 18 or 19 that I figured out that I wanted to pursue this full time. And so here we are. I moved recently to Nashville to kind of be more in the scene and that kind of thing. Cause for the longest time I was doing it full time, but I was in my bedroom at home in North Carolina, doing everything over Zoom and that kind of thing. So it's been really nice to get out and meet people in person and that kind of thing. So yeah.
So how are you liking Nashville now that you're there?
It's amazing. I love it. The best way to describe it for me is kind of home away from home. It's everything that I'm used to, but on top of that, we actually have the connections there, and it's a big city feel, but also still feels like a hometown. The people that you meet, everything is so down to earth, and everyone's just wanting to help each other, and it's just a great community. I have nothing bad to say about Nashville, so
No,
all
I
good.
love that. I've been a few times and it's always just like you feel kind of at home. Like it's this massive city and there's so much to do, but then it's still like you go
Yeah,
to like this restaurant, people are just like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like,
I
I
know. Yeah.
was like, "I'm a tourist, guys. I'm
Yeah.
not from here."
I think it's just the Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
Everyone, for the most part, everyone is, in the like bottom south, or I don't know what you call that, East Coast. Yeah, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
it's great. Good people there. It's very diverse. It's great. I love it.
Well, awesome. Okay, so the reason why we're here is you just released your EP. It's called We're Getting Older. And
Absolutely.
it goes through the stages of like a heartbreak. So what do you hope fans are going to take away from the album?
Yeah, it's a really personal album for me, or I guess mini album. It's very personal to me, but I think that the biggest thing that I want people to take away from it is that heartbreak and having to, I think for me the EP was surrounded by obviously heartbreak, but then also just a lot of change, things I'm not used to, and that goes along with the heartbreak, like learning to be independent and not with someone all the time. And because I was kind of in a relationship from the time I was like 18 years old, and it was just an adjustment to learn to be independent. And then on top of that, same time, I'm moving to this city that I know no one, so much change. And at the moment, in the moment, I was kind of like, this sucks. But looking back on it, and as time progressed, it felt like I was slowly, and that's where the "we're getting older" thing, but slowly getting older in the not necessarily by age, but more so just growing and learning that being okay with not being okay in the moment, learning to be okay with that, and learning that things will get better with time. And they did. I feel great, and I just think that that's the message I want to get across, is that it's okay to not be okay for a period of time, and just keep hanging on to the hope that it does get better with time. Time does heal. I'm a firm believer in that. And So yeah, I think overall it's a sad EP, but at the same time, I think there's a hidden message of hope in there.
No, definitely. Like this, when I was listening to the EP, like you could definitely feel the emotion, and it did feel like you were like ripping entries out of my diary sometimes, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, did you see that? Like, but it's also it's things that I think everyone goes through, and that's why it's so relatable. So
Yeah,
even though your circumstance was very, very much you and the other person or whatever was going on, there are like different things that like everyone else kind of like gets as well, because we
yeah,
all kind of go through little bits of the same thing. And so I think that's why it's just so relatable. And that's also why I felt like I was like, are you looking at my diary? Like, please. It's like, oh no, don't do it. But
yeah,
it's such a beautiful EP. Like, I love it.
so much.
It's very emotional, and I think that's what I love about it, is because it's so honest. And so one of the songs on it is called Believe It When I See It, and I think it's the first track.
It is.
Could you kind of take us through like the writing process that you went through on that song and why you chose it to be the first song on the EP?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it was that song was written. Um, it wasn't the first song to be written. The first song technically to be written on the EP was Where Do We Go From Here? But that song kind of came about because it was more of a reflective thing. I was kind of thinking back. We were in the room. It was me and a very talented writer and producer named Todd Clark. He is in Nashville, and it was my first time ever working with him. And we just kind of sat down and we just like talked. We just talked for an hour and a half, just kind of talking about life and things that we had experienced. And we got, he was breaking down wall after wall after wall of mine until I'm just like fully open. And I'm just, explaining kind of the things that happened in the last 8 to 9 months, 10 months. And, just kind of explaining that all these things that, weren't the greatest things. And we got into the topic of where the relationship that I was in last year. Um, there was a period of time shortly after that we like thought about maybe working on things and that kind of thing. And then in the moment or when that was happening, that song concept came about because I felt like I was putting in all the effort. And I think both of us had moved on and we weren't okay with the fact that we had. And so we were like, let's just give it another try. But I think we were both kind of knew that there was not anything there. And I felt like in the moment I was just kind of trying everything and nothing was working and not seeing anything that reciprocated back. And that's kind of where the idea "believe it when I see it" comes from. It's like that phrase was kind of brought up in mid conversation, and he kind of caught me and was like, "That's really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, that is cool. It's really simple and really relatable, and it feels real." And so we just kind of ran with it from there.
No, I love that. I think it is definitely a relatable song. Because when I heard it, I was like, wait, hold on. Like it's good. And also that term, I know I've said that in the past as well.
Yeah,
Like and it's different situation. It doesn't even have to be like a romantic situation. It can be
yeah, it does.
anything. Any
Exactly.
relationship, you can relate to the song. And I think that's why I liked it so much when I first heard it. It's because
Yeah,
it is that kind of, you can relate it to anything. And it makes people feel like they're a bit seen, I think. And I think that's
absolutely.
why people are gonna kind of flock to it, because they feel like you got it. You get
Yeah.
me. Like we got you.
No, I love that. I wanted every song to feel really, really honest and vulnerable is a good word to use because I just feel like not hold anything back and just tell it exactly how it is. So
Oh,
definitely.
definitely. And I think you did it. So
Thank
like
you.
you went out, you tried, and you did it. So it's good. It went
Thank you so much. I
good.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So also so I'm not a musician. I just write about music, and because I love music so much. But one of the things that I'm really fascinated by with the whole process of music is kind of like the production elements that get kind of put in after the fact or kind of during the whole process of creating like this album and this work of art. How involved are you in the production? Because there are a few production elements. I don't know what they're called, but I've heard them and I'm like, oh, I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah. No, I would definitely say that the producers I've been so lucky to work with are super talented people, and I would say 70 to 80% of the things that are incorporated in the production are ideas that kind of come from them, and their vision for me, basically. And that's the cool thing about the whole process, is the fact that when you have an artist in the room and you have a producer in the room, you've spent so much time together learning. The producer has spent so much time learning who the artist is, and the artist has spent so much time learning who the producer is, and as an artist. And I think that's what makes it so easy, because I have two producers that I work with a lot. They're Alex and Colin, are two. They did It Wasn't Me at All, Where Do We Go From Here, and a lot of songs that are older. And every time I go into a room with them and we get a song, I don't really give them any production notes, because they know where my head's at and what I would want. They already kind of know that. But for art, like Believe It When I See It, for example, it was my first time in there, and I kind of stuck around as we were producing it out, or as he was producing it out. I kind of stuck around and kind of gave him ideas and kind of like just mentioned a few things, and he knew the vibe already, so it was really easy. And then I remember him sending the first pass to me, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect. This is the exact lane. And then we just changed a few things, but yeah, I think that's a really cool thing, and it's cool that you brought that up, because it's something not many people think about. And yeah, I just love that process too.
No, like, because I've talked to a few different like artists recently, and they always have these like really cool like tempos that you don't like. I've definitely like we've heard them before in other aspects, but like we haven't heard them in a long time. And
Yeah,
so it's not something that plays on like pop radio necessarily, but I personally think it's like really cool. And I was
yeah,
just like, how do you, and a lot of times it is the producer, because they are literally artists in their own right. Like I
yeah.
seriously don't know how they do it. Mad respect for them, because
Mad
it's just,
respect.
I'm
So
like,
much,
how do
so much
you,
work too.
yeah, it's like,
So much work.
how do you hear that? Like, I don't, my mind doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
So it's not my skill. But it's
yeah.
just, I personally love learning about the behind the scenes aspect of the process of making this beautiful album. Because a lot of times, like when you're working on an album, and the way you put the songs, there's usually a reason.
Hmm.
So I usually, when I get a new album that I'm listening to, or EP or anything, I'm always listening to it like top to bottom. Like I
Hmm.
don't skip
Yeah,
until I've lived with it for a minute, and then I'll be like, oh no, I really want to listen to this song right now. But usually
yeah,
for like the first week or two, and I'm listening to it on repeat, it's always like lit top to bottom,
yeah.
because there's a reason.
Explore it.
So
Yeah.
for this one, did you have a tie that you kind of had between each song to kind of make it from beginning to end?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And yes, to answer shortly, it'd be yes. But this is really cool, because I feel like this is the first project that I've ever put out that I kind of just didn't care as much, like I would normally would, about it making perfect sense. I really wanted it more so in a selfish way for me. I wanted it to be literally top to bottom, like the way I was feeling throughout the past year. And it literally tell the story of what I have been going through for the past year. And I think that's why We're Getting Older is at the very end. It's like that final version of like, I'm good. It's that feeling of like, I've come to terms with like moving to Nashville. I've come to terms with all these things that have happened in the past year. I'm like perfectly good. I'm just getting older, and it's okay. And I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not scared anymore. And I think the coolest thing about it is all these songs were written at different times. Some that might be earlier in the order were written after the one that was before. You know what I mean? So it just kind of came about to where I have all these songs and I'm like, okay, these are all my emotions I felt for the last year. Let me just order them in the way that I felt the emotion, you know? And it just made perfect sense when I did that. It was just kind of all these things, and some songs tell specific stories. So it's like, just, it's kind of like a timeline of the past, I guess, year now, really. So we've been kind of working on it. The first song technically was written in, gosh, August of last year almost. Not that we knew that was going to be an EP at that time, but that was the first song. So yeah, it's just really cool to see it all in order now. So
No, and I think that's good for you personally too, is to have kind of a snapshot of your life. Because yes, it's for the fans and you've let us a little bit into your world a little bit, and it's
yeah,
we love it. But it is your art piece. And so it's gonna be something that you're gonna be able to take with you later and be like, in 10 years from now, you're gonna look back and be like, yeah, that was the time of my life and that's how it went. And that's just how it was.
exactly,
So
exactly.
no, it's good. Because when we think about music, sometimes you think about the singles only. Um, but there is there's a reason why you've done the things you've done on the album. And there's a reason why it goes in a certain way most of the time. Sometimes people just kind of put it together and that's fine. But a lot of times, especially with this heavier, um, more personal and honest, there usually is kind of a little tie in between everything. So I like learning about like your reason. I can kind of see on my side, and I'm like, I can see that. But
Yeah,
I like getting to know the artist and like why they did the way they did it. Because
totally.
it's fascinating to me because I'm not a musician at all. So,
No, yeah, that's no, it's really cool. It's really cool to me too. I do the same thing. I try to listen to things top to bottom, especially from artists that I know are gonna tell a story. You know, not every artist. You know, there's some artists that I'm like, I'm just looking for the banger of the album. You know, but like, there's so many artists that I'm like, okay, no, I need to hear this as a whole. You know, because there's something here, and a lot of times it tends to be in the similar genre that I'm in and that kind of thing. The singer songwriter, very intimate, pop space. So yeah.
yeah, no, I like it. And I do really love the EP. I think it's just a beautiful work of art. Like
Thank you.
I think it's really well, I also hope, but like I think it's gonna do well because it is that kind of it's very honest, and you feel like you're in the room with the artist, even though obviously we don't know each other, but we're getting a little snippet of your life, and
I
I
love that.
personally like it, but also I understand how vulnerable you are being with a work like this.
Yeah.
So it's an honor. So
Thank you so much. I really
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. So staying with the music side, so you have a few different kind of tempos in the song. Um, and you kind of explore like a few different sounds. It's still in that kind of same genre, but you're kind of like pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there a specific style that you really like creating in and would want to do more?
So yes, Believe It When I See It. And I know we've talked about that song a little much, but no, that song is a prime example of pushing the envelope and loving how it turned out for me.
Mhm.
I've done a lot of the ballad stuff, which I'm still obviously gonna continue to do. It feels right, and it's just it's just always like, I hate to say safe bet for me,
Mhm.
but it just always connects and it always works for me and it always feels real, is the way to put it. But pushing the envelope and doing this, you know, more pop folk production and throwing in the, like, even in the beginning of the song where it's like, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh," like the little like oohs, like I would never have done that 6 months ago. So it was really cool to just step outside of my comfort zone and be like, let's just write something that is cool. Like, let's have the production just be something that right now we're feeling it and it sounds great. And I remember even talking to the producer and him mentioning like, let's do whatever, and if whatever we're feeling right now, and then we'll sit on it. If we don't like it in a few days and we're like, what were we doing? then we can just take it and strip it back and go back to it being you 6 months ago, you know? And then so we did it, and then I look back on it and like, no, this is great. This is so great. So yeah, no, I think it's really, the EP is really cool because it feels just so me. It feels so true to the style production goes, writing of course, but even just the production is just a perfect example of what I listen to, what I'm drawn to. Yeah. So if I wasn't, let's put it this way, if I hadn't heard hadn't be, or how do I word this? If I wasn't listening to these songs constantly because I'm writing and making them or whatever, and I heard the production and I heard someone else's voice on it, right? I'd be listening to them myself because I'd be like, oh, this is so my vibe, you know? So that's how I know. I think I try to take a step outside of my own shoes and just kind of like look from an outside perspective. So which is really cool. But
No, I like that. I think it's because I like the genre bending of music, like when you're kind of you're pushing the envelope, but you're still yourself.
mhm.
Um, so you can kind of still hear, like, I know that's Caleb because yeah, it's a little different, but it's still him. So
Totally.
it's fun that you get to like kind of play with that and see the different styles that you can do. Because
Absolutely.
it's also shows growth as well, that you're learning and you're figuring out who you are. Because I mean, you're in your early 20s, like I mean, honestly, I think we are forever in a cycle of learning about ourselves, no matter how old you are.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
in my late 20s and I still feel like I know nothing. So
Does
it's
it
just,
get better?
I mean, it gets better because there in certain aspects of my life, I do feel very like confident, and I know that I know what I'm talking about and I know like myself. But then there's other aspects, like I'm at work in my 9 to 5 and they're like, "Oh, I need you to like call this person and ask this question." And I'm like, "Can I even do that? I feel like I'm not an adult. I'm not allowed to do that." And it's like, "No, no, you're in your late 20s. Like, yes, you can." I'm just But I think it's just kind of a cycle that you always go through. I think you're gonna learn for the rest of your life. And so, but also with you doing music, you get to kind of go back and be like, "Oh yeah, remember when I was in my 20s and I went through that whole struggle?" It's like,
Absolutely.
but now look at where I'm at. So
Absolutely. No, I
yeah,
love that. Love that.
yeah. So, kind of stripping away from the music, you are going on tour soon.
Yeah.
Um, you're going with Rosie Darling. So
Yeah.
what are you most excited about for the tour or for your set specifically?
I think that, gosh, I was thinking about this today. I don't even know what to expect from like the actual tour side of it. Of like, the only thing I am like, okay, I know that I'm performing. I know my set. I know what I'm supposed to do. I have no idea what being on the bus life and the hotels and all that. I don't know what that's supposed to feel like. So I'm just like going in blindly and just gonna let it hit. And because I had someone that has done it a few times, just kind of like was talking to me, and he made the comment, dude, you're just not ready. And I meant like, I'm not ready. He was like, no, you're ready, but like you're not ready to feel what you're about to feel. Like you're not gonna get it. And I'm like, okay. So it just kind of opened my eyes. I was like, yeah, I have no idea what it's gonna feel like, but I have a feeling it's gonna be a good feeling. But yeah, I'm super excited. Gosh, I'm so pumped. We've been doing rehearsals all week. We have one more tomorrow, and then we leave Monday to start traveling to Seattle for the first show. So I'm super excited, but I think I'm more excited about actually being on the stage and actually finally seeing people that have connected with this music for the past couple of years and actually seeing their faces and seeing them sing along. It's just that feeling is, I feel like it's going to be just indescribable, like crazy. So yeah.
I think that feeling that you're talking about is going to make everything else worth it. So the struggles of being on the bus and
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, it's a tough go around, but I think being on stage each night or every other night, or however the schedule is, I think it's gonna make everything else all worth it, because you're gonna be like, yeah, but like last night, did you hear them? Like
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna be like,
know.
yeah, this sucks, our tire blew out, but like, did you hear
That's
them last
that's
night?
that's gonna be me on the bus, just having my AirPods in, watching videos over and
Yeah.
over.
You're
Be
gonna
like,
be
"Oh my
like,
gosh, look, there's one person singing my song." Like,
yeah.
that's gonna be, I feel like it's gonna be so exhilarating, it'll just carry me through the whole thing. Which, who knows, the bus thing could be a great time, I'm gonna be riding with the band, and I've made great relationships with them, so I'm sure it's gonna be a great time. I'm so excited. So, I'm excited for the whole thing, obviously. That's the best way to put it, but
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be good. And can't go because I don't live over there, but I
okay.
will be looking out
Were
for videos.
you what part are you in right now?
I'm in Houston, Texas right
Okay,
now.
cool. Nice,
So
nice.
yeah.
Great.
I eventually will be moving to LA, but it's gonna
Okay.
take a minute.
Yeah.
But you know, but yeah, so I'll be keeping an eye out for videos and stuff, because I'll be like, okay, like I need to see other people sing the song.
Yeah.
But no, it's fun. It's shows are like, because I'm a music photographer, so like I go to a lot of shows, and it's like literally my favorite thing of all time.
Mhm.
Because yes, I'm not on stage, so I don't know that aspect of it, but it's always just so fun seeing the crowd like just be super hyped about things. Like it just makes the entire event so much better. So
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
you're gonna have a really great time.
I'm
And you're
excited.
going with Rosie Darling. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. She's amazing. She's so
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm so pumped.
Okay, so going back to your music, so another one of my favorite songs is It Wasn't Me at All. And so in the song, which okay, I don't know production, but you've built up this between the verses and the choruses, and I don't know what it's called, but you built up this kind of like thing. And it makes you like really kind of feel the emotion. Um So what mindset are you in when you're creating a song like that? And then also, I know you worked with producers, but like, how do you what mindset are you in when you're creating that song? Because like I felt choked up a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think the biggest thing when creating a song like that is the same thing for Where Do We Go From Here too. Um, when doing that song, I remember writing the song out and being like, and all of us being like, wow, this feels so good. And then I get onto the mic and I start singing it, and we're like, wait, this isn't as good as we thought. And I'm like, what's missing? Like, we're trying to figure it out. Like, everything feels good. And and then I remember, I guess, where we had just read it down so many times, I was just out of my element. I wasn't feeling what I was saying anymore. And I remember the producer being like, wait, go back to when we were first writing this song, and like you were like, don't, because we were talking about how can we get all the melodies perfect and everything. And then I was in my head about it, and they were like, just sing it the way you feel. And we did one pass of that. And obviously we did more passes than that. But the first pass, we were like, okay, well, start over, do it exactly how you just did it, because I felt it. There was even a part in the pre where I had a voice crack, and it was literally because of the emotion that was coming out through my voice, and they were like, "We're keeping it." And I was like, "What?" And then we started hearing it over, and literally every time I hear it, I hear that voice crack, and it almost like cracks me up a little bit, but it does feel so real and so like, yeah. So it was just really cool, and I think that's what really made that song is like the performance of it. There was parts that like I was off key and like all this stuff, but it just made it feel real. It made it feel like it was a one take. This is how I'm feeling right now. And I think that's what we wanted it to feel like. And that's what felt the best in the moment. So it was really cool. And as far as the production goes, which they nailed, I basically just was like, look, I know you guys are great. I've worked with them many times, and I was like, you know what I like, but I want to make this just feel so like cinematic, just so big and so emotional, and which they did, especially the bridge. That part is like my favorite part of the whole EP. So yeah, it's just really cool, really cool how it all came to life, and there's little things of like, hey, believe it when you sing it, how much better it makes it. So it's really cool, really, really cool.
No, definitely, because it definitely came across that way. Like I didn't hear when you were off key. And so I
Thank
know
you.
like you personally are like, oh God, like we should have done that over. But
Yeah,
like as just a listener and a fan, like we don't hear it like that. We hear more like, well, they were super emotional
yeah,
and and it makes the song. Like it literally makes the song and it's so good. And then the production on top of it is just like, good grief. Like how did you guys do this? Like, because
yeah,
that bridge, oh my God. And then just like kind of the build up and then kind of it came down and then kind of came back up again. And it's like, and I don't know any terms. I just know kind of how it like
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
it was
absolutely.
just good. Like I don't know how to explain it. It was just really good.
Yeah, I really do love that song. It's very special, and it just felt right. It was one of those
Mhm.
songs that just felt right. So
Yeah.
for
And I love the fact that you just were emotional in the song because I think it really did make it. Like I think if you weren't as emotional and you didn't have like a little voice crack because I didn't hear that either really, but it's like those little nuances that you had. I don't if you didn't have them, I don't know if it would have made the song as good as it is.
yeah,
So
yes,
even though there's little mistakes, if you want to call them that, I think they fit really well into the song.
yeah. No, thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate you.
welcome. So now a fun question. So if you could collab with any artist, it doesn't have to be in the same genre that you're doing. It could be literally anyone, dead or alive. Who would you want to collab with?
Um, so many people, but I think the guy that I would really want to collab with is a guy named NF. He is actually kind of in the hip hop genre, but I pop hip hop, I would say. And but I just grew up listening to his music, and his writing has been something that I've taken so much inspiration from, and I still listen to it today. And just the way that he says things, and how he's so straightforward, and just not afraid to say anything. I think it's just been a big impact on me, and I would love to just, even if it's not a session together, maybe it's even just like picking his brain and learning from him. I would love to shadow him for like 20 years, and then maybe then maybe put out some more music. But no, he's just phenomenal, and I take so much inspiration from that. Yeah, but there's others too, like Ed Sheeran would be a huge one for me. John Mayer would be a huge one for me. There's just so many people that are so good at like certain things, and I wish I could just take each little thing that they're good at and put it into one person, and then just like follow them, it's really cool though. But yeah, I think NF would be one of the biggest ones for me.
Oh, that's really cool. I always like kind of learning about that because it's like you don't have to listen to the same genre that you're creating in. Yeah,
Mhm.
usually you are, but at the same time, it's like you have other, like my music taste, like literally insane. Like it's everything, honestly. Like you put something in front of me and I usually like it because I like music and
Yeah,
I can see the beauty in it. So my friend one time was like, give me a playlist of like your favorite songs. And I was like, well, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. And so I gave it to her and she like listened through and she's like, this was the most chaotic thing I've ever listened to in my life. Cause
that's how my
it had like hip hop, it had Elton John on it, it had
yeah,
Britney Spears, One Direction, then it had like all the old school Disney people, then it had like
yeah,
pop punk music. And she's just like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, what are you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah.
I was like, I
I'll
like
have like a
everything.
yeah, I'll have like a stripped down piano ballad, and then it goes next to like Travis Scott or something.
Yeah.
Like whoa.
Yeah. Like my friend's like, I got
So
whiplash.
intense.
Like,
Yeah, no, I know. It's so intense. But no, I feel you there. I totally feel you there.
no, it's cool. And it's cool to learn about. I like, cause then if someone says a different artist that I've never heard of, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go listen to them now. Cause
Yeah,
like
yeah. Have you heard of NF?
always. Mm-mm.
Oh, you need to check it out. It's
Yeah.
great.
And
Yeah.
that's literally, I was like, okay, gonna write that down. Like I'm gonna go.
That'll He'll make you feel something for sure.
Yeah. No, that's
But
awesome though.
yeah.
So we have our last question. And it's pretty basic. It's Is there anything that you want to plug for either your fans and newer fans, and especially like our Honey Pop viewers to go and check out?
Absolutely. Obviously the EP that just came out, go check that out. I really think that you'll love it, and if not, it's okay. But give it a shot. And I'm going on tour next week, and it's late notice if you're just now hearing about it. But if you're in the area of Seattle, Los Angeles, San Diego, Santa Ana, or Portland, come to that. Tickets are in my bio on anything really, social media wise. Um, but yeah, and I guess other than that, I just keep following because I have a lot of music. As soon as I got done with this EP, because obviously I get done with the EP and then I put it out a little bit later. So when I got done with the EP though, I didn't like just sit. I just kept writing. So I have a lot of other songs that I'm like, okay. Literally someone asked me last night there because we were kind of celebrating the EP and everything. They were like, so like what how do you feel? And I'm like, ready to put out another song because I'm tired of these. Like I've been hearing them for so long. I'm like, you guys, you listen to it, but I'm ready to put literally something out tomorrow. So just keep following. I really appreciate all the support and thank you for doing this. But yeah, just keep following, and I have more music coming, tours next week. And the EP just came out. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So that was our interview with Caleb Hearn. As you can see, he's super, super sweet. We got to learn about the process behind his EP called We're Getting Older. And we got to kind of dive into some of his songwriting and some of the production elements that happened throughout the EP. And then we also got to talk about his upcoming tour. He's been in rehearsals, and we couldn't be more excited for him finally getting out on the road, and he's going to be touring with Rosie Darling. And so we are just so honored that we got to speak with Caleb today, and we hope you liked the interview. We're going to have all of the links down below for his social media, and then also the streaming link for We're Getting Older. And then we're also going to have all of our links down below. And so we definitely would love for you guys to follow us. And if you are on Discord, we do have a Discord server, and we would love for you to join us as well. We talk about everything pop culture, music, TV, movies, anything you want. And we're always in there pretty much all day, every day. And so we would love for you to join us. And so that link is definitely down below as well. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.